Well, I wonder if we could just have a prayer before we begin our conversation. Gracious and loving God, we give you thanks for this time, for this conversation, for these thoughts. We give you thanks for China's presence amongst us this day as we celebrate our Affirmiversary. Bless the words that come from our mouths, the thoughts and questions that we have. Grant us the knowledge of your love in diversity and your love for all creatures. Amen. Now, I'm wearing an older GPUC t-shirt because this is the Affirm United symbol. So this logo was designed by Joyce Crosby. It reflects the Christian fish on its side, which is also the shape of the United Church crest, and that is integral to both Christianity and the United Church of Canada, and it unites both the cross and the rainbow. It's an important reflection of the movement's belief that God's love includes all and that the church must welcome all. And we've heard the scripture today, Jesus' command, love one another. On this 15th Affirmiversary, we're delighted to have China White here with us. China White is a drag queen. Early, a long time ago, drag was called dressed as a girl. Oh, okay. No, nothing to do with you.
Oh, okay. She said old. I just thought it was me.
Yeah. I'm going to ask some questions, and we're going to have a conversation. So I have the most obvious question to ask. How long did it take you to get dressed to come to church today?
I have been up since 4:45. I've had 5 cups of coffee, and I have peed many times. And then I got dressed, and I stopped peeing.
Because
it takes an hour and a half just to
undo that which has been done.
Yes. There is a lot of undoing the do's.
Yes, that is.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot of time. Thank you so much for taking the time to do that today.
Thank you very much.
And I guess the question that I had is, what kind of creativity does drag bring out in you? And how did you begin?
I began doing drag 24 years ago this October, actually. I lost a bet. And I had to do drag for Halloween. And that was that October. And the following February, I stepped up as Miss Gay Saskatoon. And I've just sort of kept going, and it was just, I think once you get into a spotlight, it's hard to take us away.
So it feeds that performer.
Yeah, so many of us in the community are performers by nature, I think, drama kids. This was sort of an elevated step to that.
And there's a lot that goes into the decisions you make about your look.
Very much so.
So what has been some of your favorite looks?
I like anything with a say something hat. I like small, subtle. I don't like things ostentatious or overdone.
I love the ring.
Thank you kindly. In case anybody wants CBC, I rent them out. When it comes to the artistic and the creative side, it's sort of what gets your juices pumping. You know, I think any artist, whether it's a writer, a painter, a sculptor, when you get into that art form and you get it flowing and you're loving and you're fabulous and you can feel your heart racing, it shows on you. And that's what we, I think, as drag queens tried to do with our makeup and our outfits and stuff like that.
Did you have to take lessons in applying makeup?
Oh, for sure. When I first started, I had a drag mother. Her name was Crystal Clear. And we sat down and did makeup and went over foundations and the whole 9 yards. And it was incredible. It was incredible.
So there are drag families.
There used to be.
Where people would take names on, like Iona Whip and Miracle Whip. And
exactly. Yeah.
And that not so much anymore?
That sort of idea of the family is dying, sadly. For so many of us, when we were coming out and we were first sort of finding ourselves in that right, we didn't have any legal protection, which was the biggest base of why we created families. So many of us have been kicked out of homes. lost jobs, lost relationships, lost friends, have lived on the streets. And my community, and I say my community is my rainbow family, but the drag community, we always were the ones to step up, to say that it's okay, we'll take care of you, we're sort of the mothers of the community, right? You need that mother hen, and that was us, and that was okay. And, all of my kids aren't drag kids, but I have children that lived on the streets, and they needed a safe place, and we fed them, and we clothed them, and we sheltered them, and they carry my last name. They don't perform, but they always carry my last name, and they're my family, very much so. And we didn't have the choices back then that a lot of people do now. A lot of people are more educated when it comes to our issues and our just being accepted in that regard. I don't think as many children are being thrown out anymore. It's still an issue, but there's still enough of us old queens around to take them in. So Fran knows that. Fran's the oldest queen in the room.
So I've got a Broadview magazine, which is, it started off as The Observer and is the United Church magazine. And this one is particularly around drag queens and kings. And there's a quote from you in it.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. And it said, this is from February 2023. It says, "You moved from Saskatoon to New York in the early 2000s and eventually returned. And in the quote you said, 'Living in Saskatchewan, our government doesn't like us here. Most of the people don't really appreciate us.'" I wonder if you want to expand on that a little bit.
Well, I don't think I really need to expand on the government not liking us part. I think the provincial government has stood up and basically said that they don't like us in not too many terms. We are, in my opinion, being brushed aside as scapegoats for different issues that are being thrown out there. The rainbow family has nothing to do with the greater scheme of things. I think we're trying to integrate into a way that we can just live a normal life, just like everybody else. And I find on the prairies, living a normal life is a very white, heterosexual male identity. And by no means am I trashing white, heterosexual males. If it wasn't for white males, I wouldn't have a father, right? Like, my dad birthed me. So I thank God for straight men. But the attitude is that we need to fit into a nice little triangle box. You need to fit into this. And if you're just a little askew, we're just going to push you aside. And I think the prairie provinces have really gone back in time now in towards that.
There's been some changes.
There's been too many changes. I've said this to Fran numerous times. I'm 46. I've been doing drag since I was whatever. I've been out since I was 20. We protested, we picketed. I've been hit in the face. I've been punched. I've been all of this kind of stuff just for the right to marry, the right for adoption, the right for civil benefit unions. I shouldn't have to keep fighting for the same thing. I don't think that that's fair for me, and I don't think it's fair for anybody else to have to fight a fight that is done. And that was finished a very long time ago.
So what would, love one another was what the scripture said. In our time and place, what does love look like for you?
Knowledge. As much as after Pulse nightclub, I'm not sure if you remember the Pulse
I do. We had a dance here that fall. Was that drag or was it a dance? But we called it Feel the Pulse, and we did a fundraiser, and I can't remember if it went to Out Saskatoon or something else.
Beautiful.
But it was as a direct result of Pulse.
Synopsis, Pulse nightclub was a nightclub in the States that was shot up, and we lost members of our family, the Rainbow family. After Pulse nightclub, we got scared. And we have been shown that we have a right to be scared. That we have, please don't think that those things aren't happening here. I can tell you from personal experience, myself and Iona had an event out in Saskatchewan that was canceled, and the RCMP had to contact us to let us know that there was a viable bomb threat on our lives. Not the establishment, but on myself and my other queen. And you asked me what love looks like, and after Pulse and after all of this happened, it's not love. Love does not save the day. Love does not cure everything. It's knowledge. If you don't know the person sitting next to you, don't say anything about them. It's sort of a simple thing. Just like the person. If you don't have to know them to show respect. You know, I shouldn't have to walk down the street holding my husband's hand and be afraid that one of you is going to hit me. And it's true, because it has happened. I walked down the street holding my husband's hand here in downtown Saskatoon, and we had a lady hit us with the Bible. Hard.
So
that's not love.
That is clearly not love. You've been in this sanctuary.
I have.
Many times.
I have.
Doing drag for fundraisers, for information sessions, the Facts Over Fears panel discussion. In what way is it hard or easy for you to be in a church?
I was actually just talking to a friend of mine over here. It's uncomfortable. It is. I grew up Catholic. Recovering. Don't blame me. Not my fault, I left. I have a hard time with religion as a whole, organized religion, just because of the past that has sort of, the hate that has come at us, mostly directed at God. You know, God doesn't love us, God doesn't like us, stuff like that. I think the hardest thing I have is I actually went down to the cathedral here, the Catholic cathedral, to renounce my faith, to say, after what has happened with residential schools, I can't swallow belonging to an organization that's okay with that and hiding it. And I took, my crucifix and my rosaries down, and I said, I'm not going to throw these out. These are sacred, but take them. And they were angry at me, and they were spiteful, and they were mean. And I have a hard time in churches because of that kind of idea. The idea that we're different, or we're not deserving. This church, I do have to give you and your congregation credit, is probably the most loving religious organization I have ever been in. And I feel more than loved and accepted here. You are all an incredible organization. You really are. You really are. All over the city, everybody knows Grosvenor Park because of who you are and the love that you guys show. That's what religion needs to be, but that's just what humanity needs to be. You guys are great examples of what that genuine humanity is. We need more of this.
Thank you. Thank you.
You've done a really good job directing that.
Oh.
You should. You've done a really good job.
So, as we celebrate our Affirmiversary, our 15th Affirmiversary.
That's incredible.
Why is it important?
15 years of this. Go back 15 years.
Yeah.
This would never have happened. 15 years ago, we were still being spit on the streets. The fact that, myself and my friend Carrie, sitting here thinking, 15 years of this. This is more unbelievable than I think you understand. Maybe on the queer side of things, 15 years ago, churches didn't like us and did everything they could to get rid of us. So for you to be able to stand up here and say you've been welcoming for 15 years, I'm gobsmacked.
And the knowledge that the United Church of Canada as a whole, in 1988, made a decision that sexual orientation in and of itself was not a barrier to membership within the United Church of Canada or ministry. So
I'm sorry, but that deserves a round of applause.
I'm going to read this little, it's a verse from a hymn by Shirley Arena Murray, and I guess I just wanted to end off with it and to get your impression of this particular hymn. So this is one of the verses. For gay, straight, and trans, a place at the table, a covenant shared, a welcoming space, a rainbow of race and gender and color. For gay, straight, and trans, the challenge of grace. And God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy, compassion and peace. Yes, God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy. So
It's so true. I think that's all anybody wants, though, isn't it? Everybody deserves a place at the table. And nobody deserves to be segregated to the kids' table.
yeah.
Y'all know that, right? Y'all have to be a certain age to get the kids' table, but we're here, right? Okay. I think the word grace is always the one thing that comes to mind. We just want to be treated with grace and dignity.
And you should be.
And we should be.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want any other respect or right than anybody else is entitled to.
Yeah.
I don't know. Love is love. I don't think it should matter what's in your pants or what's in your wallet or what's in your mind. It should just be about love and compassion and the grace that, you know, God is supposed to be giving us to care for everybody.
And God can be trans.
God can be whatever you want it to be.
Yep. God, the metaphors that we use for God can be as diverse as the colors in the rainbow.
That's beautiful.
And I think that's really important for us to know that there is more than we know and understand.
And that's okay. I think accepting that you don't know, that's okay. That on its own is knowledge. You know, just admitting the truth. I don't understand. Maybe somebody can help you. And if they can't, if you just don't understand, that's fine. Don't understand. Just love.
I have this memory of the very first time I remember you doing drag here, and how hard it was, because I think your experience was working in bars.
Yes.
And you would say, you know, the more you drink, the better we look.
Yes.
And so how has that experience changed for you over the years as you've done this over and over again?
You learn to tweak, right? What events you're at and what jokes you're no longer allowed to tell. Read the room, right? It's been a joy, though, right? Doing drag in different venues for different people to see the art form and to sort of come into terms with who this is or what this is, because it's all over the news right now. So, you know, if people see it, they don't understand it, they don't know it. At least this is tangible.
Yeah. Like
you know?
you telling a children's story to children, I don't understand how that remotely could make someone afraid or angry.
Very.
When, I mean, pretty much you could be dressed up as you are beautiful. You could be dressed up as a panda bear.
Mm-hmm.
You could be dressed up as anything and tell
Exactly.
a story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's all about what people perceive and not the truth.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for being part of our Affirmiversary
This has been an honor for me.
celebration.
Thank you very much.
And there is cake and coffee afterwards if you can eat anything.
Yeah, we're good. Oh, yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
yeah,
you said cake. I'm good. Oh, yeah.
So thank you so much for being here, and we'll just let you go.